Alrighty, what's happening, boys and girls? This is Brian, back with another video all about OCD, treatment for OCD, exposure response prevention, mindfulness, all that good stuff. Also known as OCD Mindful. Guys, I appreciate all the love that I've gotten on my videos, all the people that have reached out with questions. So today's video, I wanted to answer a question that came in via email that I think is a very good question. And the question was this: can mindfulness cure my OCD? So what I'll take that to mean is, if I just do mindfulness, can I sort of avoid doing exposure response prevention and still end up making progress or getting over my OCD? So a couple things. I never like the phrase cure my OCD or fix my OCD or make my OCD go away or get me back to the place I was before I had OCD. That's never a good goal to have in mind. In fact, that can get you stuck and can keep you stuck searching and seeking and trying and pushing and hoping and wanting, which I've expressed in a bunch of videos. The human brain, when it comes to sort of overcoming something like anxiety or OCD and creating more freedom in your life, it doesn't like to be forced to do it. So to answer the question, can mindfulness alone treat my OCD, is the way I'd like to put it. And it depends what you mean when you say mindfulness. Can the act of sitting in a chair and meditating, 30 minutes a day of just trying to pay attention to your breath and catch yourself thinking, treat your OCD? I would say no. But if what you mean by that is, can the theory and the philosophy, the ideas, all of the training and the practice of mindfulness treat your OCD? I actually believe the answer is yes. But again, that's almost like asking, can exposure response prevention treat my OCD? There is so much that goes into, when I say the term mindfulness, I am not just talking about the act of sitting and meditating. Okay, anybody can do that. If you were to sign up for, say, an introductory mindfulness course, if you were to read some books by top mindfulness authors like Jon Kabat-Zinn and Thich Nhat Hanh, and even the Dalai Lama has great books about the practice of mindfulness, what you will find is that it isn't just about sitting. There's, I mean, thousands of years of philosophy, ideas, attitudes. So when I say mindfulness, I mean the whole thing. I mean the theory and the practice. So yeah, I believe that if you were to really start investigating and studying and even working with a mindfulness coach, you will learn a whole lot of tricks that will help free up your brain and free up your mind, learning how to examine your mind, learning how to let go, learning how to let be, learning all the attitudes of mindfulness, learning what the intention is, learning all these things about human consciousness, learning about how great it can feel, and how you can become a sort of addict to your own attention, that simply by paying attention to the present moment becomes a blissful, joyous experience, even if you're paying attention to moments that feel really hard. So even if you're sitting, like we've talked about so much here, sitting with anxiety, sitting with any emotion, sitting with grief, sitting with anger, and just bringing your awareness to it. So yes, I actually think that if there was no such thing as exposure response prevention, and you just learned about mindfulness, meditation, and you've really got involved in the practice, that you could overcome your OCD. But here's what's interesting. I mean, the reason that I make these videos and I talk about combining the treatments is you just sort of get the best of both worlds. What you will see is a ton of overlap, right? I always recommend John Kabat-Zinn's Full Catastrophe Living, because that's the sort of intro book for everybody who gets involved in at least a mindfulness course here in the United States. I don't know if it's like that everywhere. But what you will find if you read through, if you start practicing a lot of these techniques and ideas that you'd find in the texts, you'll see that the RP of ERP is already in there. Ritual prevention, letting things be open and unanswered, accepting uncertainty. These things are already in the teachings. The one thing you might not find would be the E of ERP, the exposure, intentionally exposing yourself. That element is really, as far as every mindfulness book and every coach that I've worked with and every extended retreat that I've been on, that hasn't been part of it. Intentionally exposing yourself to your feared consequence or any feared possibility, but being open to it and not trying to figure it out, not ritualizing, not running away from it, embracing any feeling that comes along with it. All that stuff is already in there. And so this is why I encourage everybody to learn all about mindfulness, the practice, the theory. Again, a lot of it comes from Buddhist texts. You do not have to be Buddhist. A lot of people shy away from that, especially if they're a different religion. Here in the United States, you have Christians that think that, oh, if I'm studying and practicing some sort of Buddhist idea, that I'm sort of infringing and stepping over some boundary of my own religion. It's not that at all. I mean, honestly, there is I mean, thousands of people that I've met on mindfulness retreats, and even the coaches that I've worked with here in the States, none of them have been Buddhist. But this is where all that information comes from. You don't have to subscribe to any one doctrine or philosophy or religion. There's just a ton of great advice for how to overcome OCD right there in the ideas that have been around for thousands of years in the Zen Buddhist tradition. So if you'd like to learn more about meditation, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm at ocdmindful@gmail.com. I am a certified mindfulness instructor, and I tailor exactly what we do in mindfulness specifically to OCD. And luckily, this has been changing people's lives, and it's been changing my life. I've really enjoyed working with people and seeing people make progress. So if it's something you're interested in, please shoot me an email. And all right, guys, that's it. See you next time.